Alright, I am, what am I doing? I don't play the Scandinavian, I play the Sicilian against E4. Okay, so, last episode, I believe things didn't go terribly well. In large part due to the fact that I was recording that really late at night, and at a certain point I think I got essentially, I think the term the kids use these days is tilted. If I push my pawn forward, then you can't really take with this pawn, because then I take with this pawn. So I actually like this. So yeah, as a result, the elo kind of fell a bit. We started at 1,000, climbed a bit higher, and now we're down to 983. I would obviously prefer to not, I'd prefer to get that back up a bit. Maybe even go beyond 1,000 to a significant extent. And hopefully we can do that. Let's see, if I go here, you wouldn't take with the bishop because then I'd just take it with my queen. Your king is now exposed, so we do have opportunities for checks and stuff. I don't want to do that immediately. Worth noting that my opponent might. Okay, you've pinned my knight to my king. Interesting. At this point, I feel like why not just take your pawn? You'll probably take back with, well, the queen or maybe the knight. Yeah, let's get this bishop right here. And that actually frees the knight up, so the knight can potentially attack if I want. As well as reinforcing this knight here. And blocking most of where the white knight can actually advance to. Okay, interesting. We will... Do you want to use the... Let's get our knight involved. Block with the knight. Because I could have used my queen, that would have, in essence, been offering a queen trade, which... I know there's nothing objectively wrong with a queen trade, but I would have rather not had a queen trade. I do kind of like the idea of knight takes... Okay, or we can do this, sure. I think taking with the pawn makes the most sense here. Worth noting, this knight is now no longer under threat by our knights. Okay. I didn't see that one coming. So now we're actually up in material because you took a pawn with a knight. Which is an interesting play, certainly. I need to get this bishop out there so I can castle. Can't do that though right now because the knight is currently pinned to the king. Here's an idea. Actually, we'll use the rook. Rook to b8. Setting up for bishop to b5. Attacking the queen, and also the rook behind the queen. Which should, at the very least, free up this knight. Now what could my opponent do? Could move the rook to avoid the skewer. If they don't do that, though, I think they're basically guaranteed to lose at least a rook. Which, granted, they would then presumably recapture the bishop, so it isn't exactly losing a rook in terms of material, but there we go. And so yeah, now the queen's under threat. They could push this pawn now, which I would probably take with this pawn, and then I'd probably just push the pawn forward and get a discovered attack. Okay. Okay, hold on. So I can't take the pawn with the bishop just yet, because then I would just get taken. So I think I'm going to fall back with the bishop slightly, so I can reposition my pieces. Potentially put the queen on c7. Seems like an interesting play. Get some access to this diagonal. Then actually, if you can go like... Actually, wait, no. That wouldn't work. Okay, so now your bishop's attacking my rook. That is fine. I might actually put this rook right here. This is fine. I was initially going to use the queen to do something with that C file, but putting the rook on the 4 row actually works just fine, because now I can take the pawn with the bishop, and it will be protected by the rook. Now, it should be worth noting, if I take here, you do now have access to queen to b2, which means if I were to take your rook, you could just take my rook. Not sure if you'll see that. Although, you wouldn't want to do that, would you? Because, here's the situation. Bishop takes, queen to b2, bishop takes f1, or you just move out of the way. Offering a queen trade at the moment. Do I want to take? Well, I mean, if you take, then I'll take. I won't be able to castle at that point. The thing worth being concerned about, though, is if you take this rook and put it here, which you probably would do if I take the pawn, now I can't actually take back with the king, which is problematic. So I think in this case we are going to accept the queen trade. Now, big question is, are you going to take with the bishop or the knight? Okay, that's the more annoying one to use. Let's see. At the very least, my knight is no longer pinned. Here, I do kind of like bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes, putting some pressure on their bishop to go elsewhere. Yeah, let's go with that. We are up in material, so theoretically it makes sense to trade down, although it's worth noting my bishop and rook are very inactive right now. So, I don't think I'm at as much of an advantage as just sheer material numbers would suggest. Interesting. Right now, I'm perfectly fine with that bishop being there, and I want to just move this pawn forward. We get our bishop right there. Actually, this would be kind of annoying. Okay. I would like to get your bishop elsewhere. Oh, here's a play. Rook to c2. I'm threatening this pawn. If you want to defend it, you're going to have to make a move like that. At which point, bishop to g7 just destroys you. And secures me at least the pawn. Okay, we could just do that. I'll take with the bishop. Okay. That's fine. Okay, hold on. What are you trying to get to happen here? If I move my bishop to block, then this rook is going to go there. I could still do that. It's a precarious situation, but I don't hate it necessarily. So I'm presuming this next. I just need to make sure I don't accidentally abdicate defense of my bishop. And the other important thing is I need to make sure I don't, like, remove the bishop and expose my rook to their rook. At least not until I can, like, put it behind my king or something. Worth noting, this rook actually can't move right now, or at least can't move down a column, because if it does, that's checkmate, back rank mates. Okay. I think here I take my pawn, or take their pawn, because that would then defend my pawn as well. And then I think I might, like... So what's your play here? I mean, if you do that, then I just win, so... I'm going to bring my rook closer to the king, that way I can actually have the freedom to move my bishop without worrying about you taking my rook. Okay, so he's not going to fall for the back rank mate, presumably. But if I put my bishop here, it's still going to be a back rank mate if you move your rook. Good luck. Okay, interesting. Where do I want to go with you? I mean, probably towards safety would make sense. This doesn't make sense, though, because then what could happen? If I go here, this guy can't really do anything. Also, is there a reason I haven't just taken your rook yet? I doubt it. Yeah, we gotta make sure we keep defending this rook. Okay, you go there, I go here. Ooh, wait, that's... Ooh, this is terrible. Actually, no, this isn't terrible. Because if I go here... Wait a minute, this is still terrible. What essentially I want to do... I think I might just go back. Because I need to make sure when you take my rook... you can take it with that rook. I have made a massive blunder here. So basically I'm losing a rook. Yeah. That's bad. What's the new plan? New plan. And we gotta try to get a promotion. I think. Now you're doubling up and taking my bishop! I hate you! This is going extremely poorly. I don't see how we win this. But I'll try. Okay, at least we can defend the pawn from here. Okay, we need this promotion. Also, this rook can actually move off the back rank now because we're no longer defending we're attacking the h2 square, which means they're no longer at risk of a back rank mate. I thought I had such an advantage and I threw it away. And now you go for my pawn. This pawn must be defended. Okay, trying to lock in. Presumably you'll take, and then I'll take. Then I might see if I can sneak... Ow. Yeah, I threw that one away. Okay, here we go. Play the Sicilian. Oh, that last game, though. Man, that is going to haunt me. I'm not sure if this is actually a good opening or not. Really, that's something I probably should do. I should probably study openings more. Now, you could push the pawn forward, which would force me to do something with the knight. Potentially something unpleasant. Okay, so far you have declined to do that. So I go here, we've got to take. Oh, I like that. Fight for the middle. Actually, we can get this bishop out of here and castle pretty quickly. Yeah, that's fine. I wanted to move the bishop anyways. Does mean that now if I take your bishop, you'll probably take with your queen. Which is fine, though, because it's still a trade of a pawn for a bishop. That is a trade I will make every day of the week. But what are you planning on doing, Trevor B11? We do want to castle at some point when we get the opportunity. It would be worth noting if this happens, this pawn would then be undefended. Actually, no, it would be defended by the bishop. So yeah, everything's fine. Man, thinking long and hard about this next move, are you, Trevor B11? Look, just make peace with the fact that you're going to lose the bishop. Just make peace with that fact and we can move on with our lives. Oh, here we go. Well, that's an interesting play. Alright, you can't castle out a check. Drats. Well, if I'm going to move a knight, I'd rather develop this one. Okay. So your bishop is out of danger, for now. Although, I've got some stuff I can do that would really make you have a bad time. Okay, you're attacking my pawn. That's all well and good, but I'm going to attack your bishop. So, good luck. Okay. Trade of a bishop for a knight. That is one that I'm fine with. Okay. And you take a pawn. We'll get that pawn back. Don't you worry. For now, we're going to castle. And I mean, heck, we could take the pawn right now if we wanted. Well, no. We couldn't have taken it last turn because the bishop was pinned to the king. That is no longer the case. You are now attacking my bishop. Which is not great. However, I will attack your queen instead. Take that. Now the best this knight can do is, like, take a pawn and then get taken by a rook. I mean, you could go there and kind of mess up my pawn structure a bit. But who knows, you might think that is a worthy sacrifice. I personally wouldn't do that, though. Okay. So what do I got here? Bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. I don't really like that, if I'm being perfectly honest. What's the alternative? If I go there, I get taken by the knight anyways. Well, then I can move the rook over and think about taking that pawn. Okay, we'll go for it. I'll bite. Now we move over the rook. And actually, if you don't move the queen this turn... Okay, never mind. Didn't quite pan out how I was hoping. Do I take with the bishop or the rook? I kind of think the rook, just because the rook forces something. It forces the queen to go somewhere. Whereas the bishop just kind of hangs out. Okay, interesting. I could move my knight here to threaten your queen. That seems like a good idea to me. Worth noting, though, rook to d1 actually pins the knight to my queen, which is not ideal. And I could get out of the pin pretty easily with a move like queen a5 or something. Okay. Luckily, my opponent did not decide to go that route. I could threaten your queen with my knight again. Is there any point in doing that, though? Yeah, why not? Who knows, they may make an error at some point. Knights are annoying to play against. That is something I will say. Okay, great. We could attack you again with the knights. Or, oh, this I actually like more. Bishop. Threaten with the bishop. Bishop is, of course, being protected by the queen, so their queen cannot take it. Oh, that's an interesting play. I could trade the bishops. If I don't trade the bishops, bad stuff is going to happen unless I just move out of the way, which doesn't really appeal to me right now. Take. Move the knight, maybe to here, perhaps. We'll go for the trade. I still don't like the idea of my queen getting pinned. Or my knight being pinned to my queen, but I prefer that than the knight being stranded on the edge of the board. Interesting. Would I want to offer a queen trade here? Would I want that? I could put my queen here. Then you're just... Actually, no, that would be stupid, because then you just take it. Kind of like the idea of this. Maybe. Unpins the queen. Defends my rook. Knight is still defended by the rook, of course. We probably should move a pawn near the king, just so we don't get back rank checkmated in the future. Take. Yes, take. That is better for me. Okay, we'll take. We'll bite. Probably gonna do that. Yep. Okay. Rook to d8. You can't take, because then I just take with my queen. I like this. Take control of the file. And then once your queen moves, I can actually take your pawn. Presuming you... And where could you move? You can't move there. You can't move there. Can't move there. So I guess if you moved along the same diagonal... Okay, so the play here is if I take, then you just go down and back rank checkmate me. We're going to move a pawn, so that does not occur. And if you try going for the check anyways, then I just take your rook for free. Anyway, so now you actually do need to move your queen, don't you? And where can you move? You can't go there, you can't go there. So, you can't go there. So every space along this diagonal is unacceptable, and you can't go to these two spaces or anywhere on this column. Which means you either need to go this way, or this way. This would actually potentially be scary. Of course that's what you did, of course it is. Now we've got the idea of, well, am I even scared of that, though? Because, I mean, let's walk through this. Queen, check, take, then king just goes away. So, in this scenario, I'm trading a rook for a queen, which I think I'm fine with. And there's no reason for me not to take this pawn at the moment. So we'll just grab the pawn while it's available. And we can still very easily bring it back down to the 8 file, or rank, or whatever, row, to reinforce if they start doing some shenanigans with their rooks. Alternatively, we can go up to the 2 row and start threatening some pawns. Granted, this one wouldn't really be threatened because, like, it's being defended, but the other one would. Another idea is to start pushing these pawns forward, now that I've got an advantage on the queen side. Interesting. So what's the threat here? Presumably it's... Okay, I mean, you're threatening this pawn if I move my queen significantly. That is for sure. You're also threatening this pawn, but I can just take back with the king, at least right now. I guess you maybe are technically threatening this rook, but again, defended by the queen, so we can't really move the queen right now. Yeah, I don't really see what the threat here is. Which, granted, maybe means that I'm missing something, but if that's not the case, I don't really see what the deal is. So, I will just... And heck, I could force you out by putting my rook right there. Not sure exactly where you'd go after that, but could be interesting. Or I could threaten your pawn. We'll go with that for now, at least. But yeah, you can... I mean, this sort of thing, getting their pawn onto a5 would be pretty nasty. But we can basically guarantee that doesn't happen just by putting our own pawn on a5, so I'm not too concerned if you start pushing that pawn. Not to mention, you know, if you move it forward, we've got the potential of, like, getting behind it and then taking. Okay, so now you're trying to reinforce your rooks. Gotcha. Well, in that case, and what's the scenario? So you get the rook here, I put my rook here. Take. So we'd be left in, and then I just move. So, I mean, the situation here would be that I would be left with a queen, and you would be left with a rook. Which I like those odds, personally. So let's bring our rook back, and actually worth noting, that actually frees up my queen. This motion quite a bit. Ooh, that's scary. Not as scary as this. Now, granted, now you could take that pawn, but I guess that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make in this case. Okay, we will not allow you to go any further. Now, there's a thought of maybe, like, pushing the issue with the queen. Putting a rook on e8, forcing the queen off this column. Okay, that's interesting. We could go here. And I think that would essentially force a trade. Well, you could wiggle out of it, I'm sure, but strongly offering a trade. This queen's protected by the pawn there. Interesting. We push this pawn forward. So how would this play out? Take. Okay. We do need to worry about time. We're getting down to like a minute and a half. Honestly, this is a game that I'm thinking will probably end up being won on time by one side or the other. Neither of us seem to be doing a great job at really breaking through the other's defenses. Okay. I'll be honest, I don't quite see what the threat there is. I think it would be a good idea to go and do something like that. Reinforce my queen. Oh, that's not a threat. You were defending your pawn. Okay. Gotcha. We understand each other now. Okay, I don't really want to take your rook under these circumstances. And is there a reason for it not to just move out of the way? I don't really think so. So I will move. Okay, that's fine. I will take with the rook. They have not moved this other rook since castling. What are you doing? Offer a trade. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Let's just win on time. Okay, one on time. If time was not... I mean, would I have won that normally? I think so. I think I was in the better position. And certainly, I don't think there was much... If I played my cards right, I don't think there was much my opponent could do to stop this pawn, so... Okay. Well, then that was a game that came quite down to wire, but we actually won it, so that's good. Good to get a victory under my belt after all these days.